Welcome back to Built by Chris. In this episode I'm going to show you how I sharpen a chisel. I wanted to learn how to sharpen chisels for quite some time. I always thought that it was a learnt art. I always took my chisels to a guy who lived just down the road from me, who up until recently did a fairly good job. Now these chisels that I have here, I spent a lot of money on. They're a German chisel. The blades are beautiful. One day I was using this chisel and I dropped it, and they always fall this way. They never fall this way. Why? I don't know, but that's how it is. Anyway, I took it to my my sharpener guy, and when they came back, it had looked like it just looked like he wasn't using the right tools. They came back blunter than when I gave it to him. So I thought, how hard can it be to sharpen chisels? Did a little bit of research. Bought all the necessary equipment, Veritas honing guide that sets all the angles and the degrees. I bought stones, which I'll show you later on, and I set about learning how to do it. Now, to be honest, it's not that hard. It's a little tedious, builds up your arms for sure, because you're always working back and forward. But the end result is chisels that are unbelievably sharp, razor sharp, and you did it yourself. Now, if you want to see how I did that, stick around and I'll show you how easy it is. I always thought that sharpening chisels was an art form, but it's not that hard. If you've got the right equipment, you can do it. So just stick with me. I'm going to pull out my first stone. This is a 300 grit, and it removes a lot of material very quickly. Now, the trick to a sharp chisel is making sure the back of it's flat. The back of it's flat. When this one came back from the guy, it looked like, I don't know, he used it as a doorstop. It was just all over the shop. So anyway, here I am, put a bit of water on the stone, and all I'm doing is laying it flat and just dragging it back and forward. Now I don't have to worry about any heat build up in this thing because it's obviously a water stone. But I'm keeping even pressure all the way down the blade. I don't know if this is necessary or not, but I always go both sides. That's for me, just to make sure that the stone wears evenly. Okay, we'll get a rag. Alright, I can already see, I don't know if the camera will pick this up or not, but all down this side is where I've been taking away material, so there's a little bit of a hollow through here. All the expert tool guys, all the master carpenters seem to think that a little bit of a hollow in here doesn't seem to matter, so I'm not going to worry about it too much, but I'm going to try and flatten it out all the way along here. So just a little bit more work, again even pressure. Down one side. Now when you pull the chisel off, don't just pick it up. If you push it down on one side, then the blade lifts up. That way you're not going to blunt it unnecessarily. Still got a little bit more work to do on there. Now I'll tell you, sharpening chisels isn't hard, but it's tedious. Now I'm starting to come right along here now. I've just got a little bit further to go. I don't know if the camera will pick that up. What I'll do is I'll set the camera up a little bit closer, just to show you what I mean by this. Just all the way through here, where I'm trying to flatten it all out. So a little bit more water on there. A little bit more work. I don't think it's that far away from being right. We're just about there. You can see all the grind marks from where I gave it to this guy. Doesn't look like they used the stone at all, so they just popped it onto a grinder and went at it. So when they came back, I've got to tell you, I was a little bit upset because this really was an expensive set of chisels, and I don't know about the rest of you, but I try to look after my tools. This guy didn't seem to care, so I'm just going to do a little bit more on here, then I'll move up to the next stone. This is a 300 grit. The next stone I'm going to use is a 1200 grit. And again, the secret to these things is polishing. There we go, that's just about there now. There we go. So a little bit more and I'll move on to the next grit. If I had known the sharpening chisels was easy, I would have done it years ago. I wouldn't have paid money, good money, for someone else to ruin them. There we go, look at that, that's just about all the way across now. So, alright, so I'll take this one out, pop it back in its bath. Now it's not necessary to keep these in water, but I tend to leave them in water, that way they soak up water and they're always lubricated then. This is my 1200 grit. Pop that in the holder. Now all I've done is just put a towel down here just to keep my bench from getting too dirty. Now, same deal, 1200, put a little bit of water on there. And all I'm doing is just trying to flatten that back out. Make like a mirror finish on there. So we'll see how we go with this one. Look at that, just about to see your face in that one. Okay, a little bit more. Beautiful, still a little bit of a, oh we're getting there. We're getting there, a little bit more water. Try and move all the way across the stone so I don't put a like a divot in it. Keeps it nice and flat. Yeah, that's starting to come up really nice. Feel a bit of a burr on this side too, which is a good sign. Just a few more passes on this the 1200 grit, and then I'll move up to my next grit, which is 6000. And that's just that'll be all done for the back. And then I'll put it into my honing guide and I'll do the face of the chisel. Some people do a circle, some do a figure eight. I haven't really come up with my own little method or not. It's going back and forward seems to work for me. So as long as you're keeping pressure down, everything will work fine. Let's put this one away, back in its bath. I'll move this out the way. And this is my 6000 grit. Now this thing here is called a Nagura stone. And all you do is you give it a couple of passes up and down. That sort of flattens the stone and leaves a little bit of a slurry on there, which helps. Doesn't take much. Okay. Alright. Now the 6000 grit, all I'm doing basically is just polishing it up. The smoother the surface, the easier the cut. There we go, you can actually start seeing my reflection in that. Feel how smooth that is. Wow. Water. I'm using circular motion on this one, seems to work better with the 6000 grit. But again, same, even pressure down. Okay, next step. I'm going to do the front. It looks like the guy's used, there's a little bit of a convex or concave, whatever you want to call it, on there, so it looks like he's put it on a machine. So let me just pop that back in its bath. Now I'm going to flatten that out. I'm going to use the stones again, but I'm going to set it up in this honing guide. Now this is a Veritas honing guide. That's the deluxe Mark II standard honing guide. Now all you do, I've got a 26mm chisel here, which is about an inch. So I'm going to set it up. There's a mark here, I don't know if you can see that, there's a mark there. So I'm just going to set it up at the inch mark. Now I've got it set it up on number 2 here, so I'm using the yellow numbers down here. Now apparently the standard chisel degree is 25 degrees. So I've got it set up on 25 degrees here. So now I'll just pop my chisel in here. Oops, wrong way. Put it up against the stop and against the fence, and I'll just lock that down. I've got to make sure that it locks down nice and flat. Now this honing guide makes life so much easier. It takes all the guesswork out of it. There we go, that's locked in. It's nice and flat. So now what I do is I remove this part, and that's set my chisel where it needs to be. One thing I do is I use an engineer's square just to make sure that the chisel's square in there. Which it is now. So I just lock those down a little bit tighter so the chisel doesn't move. Ready to go. Alright, so now I'll pull out the 300 grit one again. Pop it into its holder. By the way, all these stones and the honing guide, everything, I picked them all up from TimberCon. They weren't that expensive, but what sort of a price do you put on sharp chisels? Okay, and away we go. So now the honing guide, I just run it up and down. The first few passes will tell me how much of this I've got to take down, because this is going to set it at exactly 25 degrees. So I don't know whether the guy just sharpened it by eye or whether he used some sort of gauge. But because I've set it up now to be exactly 25 degrees, I might have to remove a lot of material. So bear with me just a moment and I'll tell you exactly where I'm at. Okay. As you can see, I don't know if you can see that, it's picked up all across the top here, and it's taking away a little bit at the bottom there, so there's definitely a concave to that. So there's a fair bit of sharpening to go. Alright, that's what I thought would be the case. So yeah, it's knocking it down. Feel that burr on the back again, so nearly there. You can see it's just, I don't know if the camera can pick that up, there's just a little bit leftish through here. Got a nice even burr across the back now. Just got a tiny weeny little bit there to go. And again, I'm just moving it all the way across the stone so I don't sort of wear out one part of it. And there we go, that's all gone. Now if you can see that, that's nice and smooth all the way across. So all I'm going to do is lay it down flat and just give it a small tug. And that's going to take away that burr. Beautiful. Alright, so let's put that down. Move on to my next stone, so I'll put this one back in its bath. Take out my 1200 grit. Lock her in. Same again. And all I'm doing now is polishing. The 300 grit stone, I was removing material. It's quite an aggressive grit, so I was just removing material. Now all I'm doing is going up into the 1200 grit and the 6000 grit, and I'm just polishing that face. Okay, that's, I don't know, probably the camera won't be able to pick this up, but it's just starting to now polish up. So all the marks that the 300 grit stone left, I'm just taking them away. I feel it's starting to come really smooth now. And my little bevel at the front, or the burr at the back, is nice and even. Beautiful. You'd almost think I was a professional doing this. A little bit more on this one, and then I'll move up to the 6000 grit. Now this honing guide that I got, it's the Veritas one. There's all different types of honing guides. You get the old cheapos that'll do like your chisels up to whatever size. You can also do your planing blades in there. But the difference with it is this tiny little wheel. If you haven't got it down properly, the thing tends to rock on there. That's what I noticed with that. This is through my experience. With this Veritas honing guide, you can see the wheel is nice and wide. It's beautiful. It's nice and wide. So it just, once you pop it down on there, it is nice and flat. It doesn't rock. It doesn't rock at all. So you get what you pay for, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so again, 6000 grit. It's not really removing anything. I'm just polishing now. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. Got a nice shine onto it now. Bring that to the edge. Lay it flat. I'm just taking that burr off the back there as well. And I think that's just about done it. So let's take it out. Pop this back in. Okay. Now I don't use chisels a lot, but I like to keep them sharp. Right. Let's try and get a piece of paper here. We'll see. Yeah, that's pretty sharp, I'd say. That'll do the job. Now the ultimate test. No, I'm not going to slip my wrists. I mean, that's shaving the hair off my hand. Look at that. I would have to say that's pretty sharp now. And it didn't take that long. But with the right tools, I I'll just see how square it is across the top. Oh, you know what? I wish you could see this. It's perfect. You can't even see daylight through there. So there it is. That's how I sharpen my chisels. I don't take them to anybody anymore. They tend to butcher them, and like I said, when you buy a nice expensive set of chisels, you want to keep them nice. So there they are. Want to keep them nice. Okay, hopefully you got something out of that. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, that always helps me, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.